Meet Natalie. Natalie loves books.
This is your brain on books. Any questions? And this is Angela. She's a very serious jazz singer.
Shooby-dooby-dooby-doop-doop-doo. And sure, we both like to stay informed, but this world sometimes, am I right? You know what we need? 30 minutes of meditation.
Pop culture meditation.
So we're here to remind you.
We get it. You're smart. But right now, take a deep breath and put your books down.
Hello, Natalie.
Hello, hello, hello.
Is the water ready, Natalie?
Splish, splash.
I was taking a bath. Today, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Put Your Books Down. Today, we're going to talk about a very important film. It's called Splash.
Splash.
Splish Splash.
Splash.
It's directed... Splash.
Splash.
Natalie, hello. Hi.
Hey, how are you?
None of this craziness. Hi, how are you?
Hi. Good
Welcome
to see you.
to another day of Put Your Books Down. Wonderful recording. How are you? What's new? What's happening? What's going on?
Well.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Tell me.
You know, work's just been crazy, busy, which is fantastic. Remember, that was one of my manifestations for 2024. And by damn if I didn't get it. I sure did.
I believe the words you used to me recently were, I'm going to work my dick off.
Well, that's...
Darren, go ahead and,
well, quite frankly, that's not my husband's favorite. When I talk like that, it's my rough, rough stuff. That's just how I talk. But
sort of like you came out of a honky tonk.
Well, that's if you've met me, you know me, and it's sometimes I speak honky tonk.
Listen,
and
I don't think I would love you if you didn't.
I don't think
frankly.
I'm a rough person.
No,
but
you're not a rough person.
I talk rough. I have a rough tongue.
Well, you're like a cat. You got a rough tongue.
It's just I just I don't think about like how some of my phrasing might affect someone else.
Right.
But yes, I've been working very hard. And trying to, keep things going and keep working hard, and started playing some tennis.
Oh God, that is so good.
Yep.
Are you playing doubles? Are you playing singles?
It's like some lessons with my gal pals, Rachel and Suzanne, and we just like work with a pro person and
tennis pro.
Basically scrimmage and like play each other for like an hour. It's great cardio.
Is your tennis pro's name like Fabio or Leonard or what's his name?
Sergio?
Oh, hell yes. Yep. Sergio. Everybody needs to have a tennis pro's named Sergio. That sounds like something out of a movie.
Yeah, I know.
Sergio.
It's way cool. Yeah.
Now, have you gotten your little tennis dress yet? Because that's what I want to know is do you have a tennis dress?
I got my tennis skirts and some of my tennis gear.
Yeah.
I don't have my own racket yet. I still have the children, I guess I bought one at like Walgreens once, and it's a child's racket. So I have to get my own racket. I didn't know. I hadn't played in like 20 years, really.
Yeah,
Lizzie and I used to like play at the park sometimes, but anyway, so it's been interesting, but I'm loving the cardio and the camaraderie, and but I will not be playing like on a team. These girls play on like teams, like they compete, like they play. They're like legit. I'm just there to have a good time.
And tennis is intense. Like I remember when I was in 4th grade, I took tennis lessons for the summer. This is when I was.
I took lessons.
I was growing up in California.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And I remember like the tennis coach was like, "Okay, it's time to run," and I was like, "Wait, running? Like, why are we running? Running? I thought this was tennis. I thought I was going to hit a ball on a bat. No, girlfriend.
It's a lot of foot
running.
action. A lot of
running.
Fancy feet. Okay.
You gotta have fancy
footwork.
Lots of fancy footwork.
Something I have to work on because I have a huge bruise on my leg from hitting myself with the racket, missing the ball. And then I have a cut on my hand and a bruised middle, like between my fingers from jumping into the net.
Oh, Jeez.
Yeah, well, I get really into it,
Yeah.
so
Well, you know what,
gotta
Natalie?
hit
I
that
wouldn't put
ball.
it past you because I mean, I think I remember playing kickball with
That's
you, and
right.
do we have to revisit that?
Well,
Like
I slid into the splits.
you you went into the splits to catch the ball. I mean, it's what you
I like
do.
I like playing sports for
Yep.
fun. I'm
Mhm.
not particularly good at it, but
Mhm.
I give it 100%.
I think you have to. I think you have to,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
Also, it's just so good for, like, your mental health, like, just so
Mhm.
good to just go whack a ball, you know?
Yeah.
Speaking of balls, we are going to be talking about one of the greatest movies that
Mm,
ever,
ever.
ever was made. I mean, I
Yes.
am obsessed. I don't have all the details about it. It's Splash, everybody. It's from what, 1980
4.
84. Geez, 84.
Mhm.
My God. Directed by Ron Howard. Oh my God. Starring Natalie, Tom Hanks,
T. Hanks.
John Candy.
John Candy.
Can you even stand it?
This is
Can't even
not the
stand it.
only movie they were in several movies together,
I
but
know, but this is one of the
well, he
classics.
was the most famous person in this movie at the time. Like he was Tom
It
Hanks wasn't
is
that famous yet. John Candy and Daryl Hannah, she wasn't that famous yet.
it
Eugene Levy, he wasn't that famous yet. So
I mean,
John Candy was like the big name in
it
this
is
movie.
they are too much fun, everybody. If you
Mhm.
have not seen Splash in a while, it's like isn't it like I think it's this is like an anniversary.
It's been 25
It's been
years.
25 years. So, oh my gosh. So there's just so much to talk about. So, first of all, just overall impressions. First of all, big impressions. I love Splash. I would watch it at least every few months. I
Oh,
can't believe
yes.
that I've gone this long watching it. Like I hadn't realized I hadn't watched it since it came out, like when I was a kid.
Oh,
Like
yeah. My
how did I
sister and I
do
love
that?
this movie, and we watched it all the time growing up
Oh
because
my gosh.
it's and
I love
a
this
lot
movie.
of it's not necessarily like a kids movie,
No.
but it's about mermaid and like, it's very fantasy like. And honestly, it
Yes.
overall, like as I was watching it the other night, it's like ET. It
Yes.
is exactly like
It is
ET.
so like
It's so
that.
ET.
It
And
really
she's like
is.
this alien, and Tom Hanks is Elliot, and you deal with the government, the man, and like all
Yes.
it's so ET to me, and
I
so
know.
it's just it parallels very well. But I remember when I was little, like the first time I saw this movie, I was a bebe. I was just
Yeah.
a little wee
Tiny
bebe,
little wee baby.
and it was the first time I saw like a ton of making out.
Oh,
That's where I
yes.
learned what making out was. I was like, "Oh my god," because
Right.
there's so much making out.
There's a lot of make
A
out
lot of
in
making
this.
out.
Yeah, making out with
Yeah.
that feral, mermaid
Mermaids are
lady.
horn dogs,
I
by
mean,
the
she
way.
is a horn
Is that an
dog.
aquatic thing? Do you know? I don't know a
Hmm.
lot about, like,
The sex lives of mermaids
or of
mermaids.
fish. I don't know,
Are
but
fish particularly horny? I
ugh,
don't know.
don't say that word. Don't do that. Ugh.
I don't know. I mean, every
Oh,
Pisces I know is pretty horny,
oh,
so they're fish.
alright.
So
So get into the
directed
nitty-gritty, like, what do
directed by
you
Ron Howard. Tom and John, too much fun. Darren said, check. He's got
40 years ago?
40 years ago. Right.
I thought it was 25th anniversary,
1980. 1980.
but it said 84.
Oh,
Oh my
oh
god.
my Lord.
84.
84. 20. Oh my
40
God.
years ago?
40 years
Oh
ago.
my god, that makes sense because 'cause I'm turning 41 in April.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
Okay,
So, sorry.
so 25 years my butt
Your
well, I
bootay,
almost said something else because of my rough mouth, but
your
my butt
arse, your butt,
yeah.
your bottom,
Well,
25
if you
years,
ask
your
Scott,
bottom,
it would have even been worse than that, but go
your
ahead.
bottom,
My
your
bottom.
rump,
Yep. My
your
tush.
pan
Yep. My buns.
took us.
Ugh.
Um, I forgot all about the opening setup. Okay. So here's some things that are so
Wait,
great
wait,
about
wait,
this
wait.
movie.
Wait. Did you not know from the credits, we've talked about this before, from the intro with the credits, the fact that the intro is on water, the font is like this like cursive type thing,
I
and the
can't.
song Wooly Bully
Oh,
is
Wooly Bully.
playing in the
It's
background.
so good.
The minute that I saw that again, I was like, "Oh my god, no wonder I loved Wooly Bully when I was little," and I was like,
Wooly
we got good
Bully.
font, we got water, and we got Wooly Bully."
I know. And
playing in the background.
we got, like, sepia tones. It's
Mhm.
insane.
Mhm.
The whole setup of this movie takes a while, actually, and I
Yeah.
didn't remember any of this. The only thing I ever remembered about this movie, I was like, "Oh, it's just gonna be like Daryl Hannah in a bathtub and you see her flipper." Like,
Yeah.
that's all we're gonna remember. That's all I remembered. And then I realized, like, "Oh, no, 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 no. He's this little kid. He's on a boat with his parents. They're in Cape Cod. It's like a party or something." I don't remember what exactly is going on. His older is
John
it his
Casey's
old
older brother.
okay, his older brother is, like, dropping pennies on purpose so that he can pick them up and look up girls' skirts.
He's the
That
perma
trait
creeper.
he's a perma creep. He's, like, creepy little child and stays creepy the whole entire movie. But then Alan, the character played by Tom Hanks, he why does he jump into he's, like, looking over the side of the boat.
So, quite frankly, this was concerning. He can't swim,
Right.
and he sees something in the
In
water.
the water.
And I mean, we don't have children, so we don't know.
Right.
But if I were his parents, I'd be like, did he just try to commit suicide? Because
Yeah,
can't swim, and he jumped into this water, and he started to sink, kind of. And then this little mermaid saved his life.
bless her little heart.
Bless her little
Sweetest little, cutest
sweetheart,
little thing. Oh my god, this
adorable.
ethereal, like, moment happens, and that's one
It's
of
like
the
him,
things I love so much about this movie is, like, these ethereal, like, mermaid moments that happen. I
Mhm.
absolutely I wrote down, like, I love underwater stuff.
Oh, yeah. I love The
I
Shape of Water. Like, that reminded me of Splash. I
oh,
was like, "Oh my god, they don't do enough water movies, except we
ugh.
won't get into Water World." But you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah, we don't need to get into
let's
Waterworld.
rein it back
No,
in.
no,
But
no, no, no.
they don't do enough of that. And it was so nostalgic because the way it was shot, it was like there's not a lot of bells and whistles here with these
No,
underwater shots because it's
no,
the 80s. And
I
so,
know.
so it
But it's
looked real.
gorgeous. It
It's
looks
beautiful. It looked
so real.
real.
I
Yeah.
know. And,
Now
like,
it's all like CGI
I
and
mean,
like, but this is really underwater.
when Daryl Hannah as the mermaid is swimming around underwater, you see all this, like, coral reef and, like, all these fish and all this stuff. I was like, "Wait, is that really in Cape Cod? No, that was in the Bahamas part. That was filmed
Sure.
in the Bahamas." But in your
Sure.
imagination, you're like, "Sure, that's what a mermaid would see underwater, so
Mhm.
obviously that's what she sees." So
Mhm.
anyway, so he jumps in the water as a little tiny kid, and this little mermaid comes and rescues him, and he is fine, and somebody jumps in after him and gets him out, and everything's fine.
Right.
Fast forward to modern day, Tom Hanks is running the family fruit business. We're in New York City. Oh my god, Natalie, you know how I love a New York City movie? Oh my god!
So do I.
Especially an '80s New
I
York City
love
movie.
it. I
Like,
love
I
it.
can't even deal, like, it's down on, like, the waterfront down there where, like, all the shipping docks are and stuff, like, that doesn't
Yeah,
even
like
exist really.
by Battery Park.
Yes, and it's like oh, it's just too good.
But let me ask you something.
Yes, ask me.
So I have like a deep thought.
Yeah, deep thought for a
So
deep movie.
we're
Deep
back
sea.
in he's an adult now and he's running this business, his produce business in
Yep.
New York. And he's got this girlfriend on the phone and she's not getting it. He's too busy and
Yeah.
she's going to move. She lives with him and she's going to move out if he doesn't say he loves her.
Yeah.
And he can't
Victoria.
tell her he loves her
Mhm.
because he's never been in love. He doesn't
Right.
love. Okay.
Yeah, something's wrong with his heart.
Don't you think like technically it's not like, so okay. There's no spoilers here. We're going to be going around in this. He falls in love with a mermaid, right?
Sure, yeah,
Played by the
by
older
Daryl
version
Hannah.
by Daryl
Yeah.
Hannah. Um, so technically a mermaid isn't real, right?
Right.
So like the metaphor of this could be like lots of things. So
Mhm.
is he only capable of falling in love with like a
Mm.
superhuman woman, like a not like someone that he deems superior or not real, or because the woman can't talk,
I know.
okay, until she learns it from TV.
Right.
But he's never fallen in love, and this happens really fast, and she's like not a real human, kind of. She's a fish. And does that speak to is that like, would you consider that narcissistic, or would you think it's like,
Hmm,
because he's never fallen in love or told him, and now
hmm.
all of a sudden, like this surreal woman who shows up naked. Obviously, she's not from,
Well, that didn't even occur to me that it was, like,
but I'm also,
narcissism.
but I'm not sure. So that's where I'm not, I'm just
Right.
thinking like what he deserves. Like,
Yeah.
he's never like, he can't tell Victoria that he loves her because, like, he deserves, like, I don't know what it is that he wants.
Well,
But then John Candy is his older brother, and he's
yeah.
just like this super creeper,
Yeah. Gets all the
right? Total
ladies.
pervy, gets all the
Yeah.
ladies.
Yeah.
And so it's like one of them can't say I love you until he meets someone that's not even real.
Right.
And then the other one gets them all.
Like, it uses them and abuses them. And
Right.
yeah.
So I just thought that was interesting.
That is a really deep point of this plot, Natalie. Like, I'm so impressed that you brought that up because I have
I'm not
never
even sure if
really
it made sense, but I'm not going to ask you, does that make sense?
Does that make sense?
Because I don't want you to say no, not really.
It is like a deeper theme though, but I also think that there is like the call of the mermaid, like to certain souls who are like lost in the ocean and they sort of like bring you home. And it's sort of like the sailors,
They save you.
they save you and she saved him. Like, I
Right.
think maybe there was something about him that was like in his psyche, even as like a small child, that was just like something is missing inside of me.
Or he was waiting for her.
He's waiting for her. Like, maybe that was his calling all along to be with her.
Okay.
And it was like foreshadowing. I mean, I have to say, like, as cheesy as it could sound, like, I do love the fantasy of this. Like,
I do too.
that is what I love the most, is that I don't want to analyze it. Like,
Well, I'm
I,
not sure it's supposed to be since it's,
since it's total fantasy.
and it's also, I don't think it's not supposed to be that deep.
But
I
we're
think it's
deep
pretty much,
because this is put
we're
your books
deep.
down, and this
And we're
is
deep.
deep. Okay,
I think it's supposed to be like just what it is. It is like, this is what this is showing. It's not supposed to like be that complicated. But I just thought
Mm,
that um they went really, they went in places that I've watched it my whole life, and then I watched it the other night and I was like, huh.
yeah.
And maybe, again, that's just all my therapy.
Are you saying that perhaps they sort of like went like where no man has feared to go, like
I
where
think back
no
then,
man
I don't
has
even
gone
think they
before?
meant to.
It's very Jacques Cousteau-ish. Okay.
Yeah.
Taking a deep dive, so to speak.
Well, I mean, this woman can't speak,
Yeah, I know.
and she's just stunning. She's
I know.
stunning.
Yep.
She's naked,
Yeah.
and he's like,
It's like Frank's
"I
best
love
night. Like
you."
Frank's, it's like every night with me and Frank. Like,
Right. Well, it's just like, it's a little bit like, "Come
like
on.
my house.
I'm walking here. Come
I'm
on,
like,
get out of here." Like, like, of course he's gonna, like, he's so complicated at the beginning, and then all of a sudden
yeah.
he's not complicated at all. He is just like, that's my point. It's like,
I,
one
I
minute he's
know.
like, "Why can't I tell her I love her?"
I
to John
know.
Candy, and he's like, "I don't
I
know."
don't
And the
know.
then he becomes like a simple dude.
Yeah,
Like,
I know.
it's
But
you don't think about, you don't have to like think too hard about it.
one thing I love about that, in that, to that vein, is that like this movie does move along. Like, the plot moves along and
Yep.
like there's no like he doesn't realize she's a mermaid for a really long time, and then but like she gets picked up at she find what one of my favorite parts was though was where I wrote it down. She goes to her little, she can't read. No, I'm sorry. She can't speak. So okay, Tom Hanks is fed up with life after this Victoria thing, so he decides to go to Cape Cod. And he ends up on the beach. He tells a cab driver to drive him to Cape Cod. So he's out walking down the beach. And also, by the way, it's just one of the other like things about this movie is like all the New York stuff. Like, the cab driver is
Mhm.
cranky. He's like, "You got the
Mhm.
money, come on!" Like, it's just
Yeah.
like this New York that we don't have anymore. Like,
Right.
that New York is over. Like,
Right.
with cranky cab drivers. I just almost said cranky crab drivers.
No, crabs are cranky.
Crabs are cranky.
Yeah.
You know who's cranky? Irby, because he's like meowing. Did you hear that? He was just meowing. Anyway.
Sound like a grunt.
Anyway, so he gets a ride from this guy to take him to the other side of the island, from this guy named Fat Jack. And Fat Jack is driving this little tiny, teensy tiny boat across the Sound or the Cod or the Cape. And he's like, "Well, I can't swim, so, I'm a little nervous." And he's like, "Oh, then I better not rock the boat."
Right. Who
Like,
does
fat
that to scare the
dick. This
passenger?
guy's such a
Fat
jerk.
Dick is the guy's
So
name.
then he's drowning again, and once again, who comes and rescues him? It's little Miss Daryl Hannah. She doesn't have a name at this point. She doesn't speak at this point. Also, she rescues him. She steals his wallet and then takes him he's on the island. She's like buck naked walking down the beach with her legs, And he's like, whoa. He's like, "Auga." Like,
Yeah.
it's like a
Hamana,
whole,
hamana,
like,
hamana,
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 hamana, like,
hamana,
who are
hamana, hamana. I
you?
think I could fall in
Hello.
love. Hamana, hamana, hamana.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like,
I can
boing.
commit.
Yeah. I think I can commit.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so then she just disappears back into the ocean. And he's like, please don't disappear.
What
Blah, blah, blah.
happened?
What? Exactly. And then, like, the next scene, she goes down to her little mermaid lair and gets her little mermaid map. And apparently she's got, like, some old maps she can pull out from somewhere.
And I guess
Which I
using
totally
constellations and all of her, you know, historical
Yes.
maps and the ship that she lives
Yeah, yeah.
that's
And she's
lit up.
she's got his wallet, and she knows that he lives in New York, so she compares it up to the map on New York. She's like, "Okay, well, I guess I'm gonna go to New York now."
She gets directions and
Yep.
she makes
Swims
it
her way
there.
over, makes
She
it over to New York.
swims to Ellis Island
Yep.
where that's where the Statue of Liberty is, Angela.
Well, it's actually
And
Ellis Island is a different place where it's Liberty Island. Sorry.
well,
Sorry to be I don't mean to be so corrective.
no, you can take a tour to Ellis Island and you go to the Statue of Liberty.
I know. They're not on the same island, though.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It's a
I
little
also never did that.
stop along the
I
way.
saw the Statue of Liberty in the airplane
Girlfriend.
being there, and then also the free ride on the ferry.
Or the D train going over the Manhattan
Yeah.
Bridge every day.
You see it.
Oh, I used to just drive over that D train like,
I hated the D train. But okay,
just drive or the queue. You're like, oh, you go over Manhattan Bridge, and there's Lady Liberty out there,
and it's so you know what a
harbor.
blessing that we got to see stuff like that all the time.
Oh, and I would see it, and I would just get
You just
so
take it for granted.
nostalgic. Oh,
Take
so
it for
good.
granted. Okay,
So anyway,
go back to she gets to New York.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
She
gets picked up by the cops because they're like, who is this naked lady on Statue of Liberty?
then,
blah, blah, blah. She's totally feral. She's not speaking. Now, I wrote this down. Daryl Hannah, this really speaks to her acting chops because the woman does not speak. For like the first 20 minutes of her being in the film, she does not speak. She says not a word. And she's just like face acting, which I was like, oh my God, she's so good.
Yeah.
Like she's so good.
So good. Yeah.
Yeah. And so then finally the cops pick her up and she has his wallet. So they call him. He comes down there, but not before we see him again back at the place. And Mrs. Stimler is sitting at the desk. She's got her bra on outside of her top, which is just so hilarious. And then somebody says, bocce balls. And I was just thinking that bocce balls needs to be one of my new expressions. Just when somebody does something cool.
She was electric. She was struck by lightning. So
in the head.
In the head.
So she didn't really know.
Quite right now.
Right. I'm not quite right now either.
Right.
Are you? I mean, we're both kind of not quite right. But
I don't know if anyone ever is.
Yeah. And one of the things that I love, he picks her up at the police station, and the officer says to him, I take it you know this girl? And he goes, yeah, I do. And he goes, well, who is she? And he goes, I don't know.
I don't know.
Natalie,
this is Tom Hanks.
I thought that was one of the greatest little exchanges I've ever seen in a movie because he doesn't know who she is.
No. But I think he was amazing in this movie.
But he knows who she is.
He does. I think he was absolutely incredible in this movie.
I do too.
I mean, I think he did I hate how much I say but I think he was so really, really great in this movie.
Agreed.
He was arrogant, but but endearing and almost pitiful at times. But you root for him. You root for him to be happy, and you root for him to find love or whatever.
To find love.
People fall in love with a mermaid or whatever.
Somebody asked me one time, they were like, are you from California? Because you sure say like a lot. And I was like, yeah.
Yep.
I was like, yeah,
yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
For sure.
Anyway,
also
so then
this movie, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Tell us, do you think this movie reminds me of Encino Man also?
Oh, okay. Well, I haven't seen Encino Man. Don't get mad at me.
What?
Don't get mad.
With Brendan Fraser and Sean Astin and Pauly Shore?
No, I haven't seen it.
Okay, well, it's a caveman who gets a 90s makeover.
Oh, yeah.
So we got a mermaid that gets a 90s makeover.
I don't think cavemen have the same cachet that mermaids
mermaids
have.
Talk. He turns into this hot high school kid.
Oh, he does? Is he hot?
Yeah.
Is he hot?
Brendan Fraser? I mean, this is the only movie I thought he was attractive in.
Oh.
All right,
I used to think he was really attractive. I thought he was attractive.
He also didn't talk. So that was probably why.
Oh, yeah. So he was also
Bless his
face
heart.
acting.
We love Brendan Fraser. I'm
We
just
do.
saying.
We do. We do. We do.
Um,
So, but
go
he
ahead.
picks her up and he takes her back to his apartment because he's like, okay, well, I guess I'm in charge of her. And she's clearly feral because all she can do is like make out with him and kiss him and want to kiss him and make out with him and kiss him and make out with him. And then
make out.
And then they're in the elevator.
They go
and
to Pound Town.
Listen, it's implied that they go to PT
no, it's
because
not implied.
It's
they straight up. It's pretty clear.
They get in the elevator and then
that's when we realize that mermaids are horn dogs.
Yeah. Then the elevator like dial is going boing boing, and it's like boing. Like you can see that they're like trying to indicate that
it's
this
all
is
like
what's happening. Total innuendo. And then he goes back to work and he's like, zippity doo dolls. And he's real happy. He's like,
a whole bunch. Yeah.
And then she leaves and the woman cannot talk. And the only thing she knows, because she's watching TV at his house, is the word what? She can't talk, but she sure knows how to say
Bloomingdale's.
Oh, yeah, there it is, baby. I think if we all could just say Bloomingdale's just for a brief moment. Bloomingdale's. Moment for Bloomingdale's.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you feel like you're going to get a makeover montage, which you do. And the next thing you know, a little bit, not horrendous, but then she's wearing a scrunchy sweater dress with a 3/4 sleeve and slouchy boots. And you're just like, what?
Fabulous.
What is this killer outfit
she
that she has?
She also wore a suit when they she wore a suit to go. It was like Pretty Woman.
It was his suit.
Hello,
yes. Mm-hmm.
That she wore the suit to get her makeover, and then she had all this like fabulous clothes.
Yeah. And the lady's like, what are you wearing? Like, did you watch Annie Hall too many times? Like, geez, lady, this is so over. You need all new clothes.
But she learns how to talk by hanging out at the TV store, and she can speak. And this is one of my favorite scenes in any movie I've ever seen is when Tom Hanks comes to pick her up at the mall. And he's like, what's your name? And she's like, it's hard to say in English. And I put this on my Instagram before as like a mood. And he's like, well, just do it anyway. And she's like, okay. And it's like this dolphin high-pitched sound and all the TVs explode because it's so high-pitched.
It's so
And like everybody like closes their ears. And that's honestly, I think for me, when like the comedy really started outside of John Candy, like, and then it just started like having like all of these really funny lines, and it's really funny for a while before it gets kind of sad because Eugene Levy is the bad guy initially in this movie who represents like the government. He's like a scientist that's trying to study mermaids,
trying to prove that she's there. Yeah,
right. He wants to like find her and all that. And this, but there's a scene when they play racquetball that Tom Hanks and John Candy play racquetball. And actually, Angela, I had sent this to you, this clip to you weeks ago. In that scene, John Candy is actually incredibly hungover because he had been out with Jack Nicholson till like 4 or 5 in the morning. So he gets like hit in the face with this racquetball, and like that actually really happened, and they didn't have to do any more takes. Like this whole scene is just if you haven't seen this movie forever and you're like annoyed with all of this anyway, just go Google the racquetball scene from Splash because it's Tom Hanks being. You can tell he's trying not to laugh too.
Right.
Like he's trying to keep it cool.
I know.
But John Candy, literally, probably not really even acting, knowing his lines, and he's so hungover. Like
clearly,
it's a mood.
It's such a mood. It's such a mood.
You know,
I love it.
And then as this goes on, like John Candy gets more involved with the produce company because Tom Hanks is off boinking Daryl Hannah all the time. You know, like they can't be separated. And But my favorite relationship in this movie is actually John Candy and Tom Hanks.
I know.
Like the brothers, because the things they say to each other were so funny. Like at one point, Tom Hanks was like, Freddie, that's John Candy was like, Freddie, you took a date to one of your own weddings. Like talking about relationships and stuff like that. Like it was just genuinely sweet.
It is super sweet. That's what I wrote too. Sweet.
We have to get into the climactic moment. So
yeah. The climactic moments.
Like, Daryl Hannah's like taking baths at night while Tom Hanks is passed out from doing it so much and letting her little tail expose, like letting loose. Her legs turn into her tail.
Let me ask you something. Yes. Before you get into this, did you as a child have the concept that they were like doinking all the time? I didn't.
Oh, I just thought they were making out all the time.
I thought they were making out. I just thought they were kissing. I thought they were really, because there's absolutely
but he made it clear. He was like, in the elevator, on the table,
but
in
this
the
is
kitchen.
why, exactly.
She's
but
like,
I was shy.
More.
He's like, you were shy. But like, it's That's what's great about this movie, is that there's all this innuendo,
It's still gentle.
it's gentle.
It's very
I think it's
gentle.
PG, actually.
Maybe PG-13 because they show her boobies.
But back in those days,
It didn't
like,
matter. They showed boobs all the
PG-13 wasn't
time.
even a thing, I don't think.
Right.
I think we just
Hold on
had
one second.
PG, you know?
So, anyway, but you're right. I think this movie is gentle and it does only infer, but
The
when you watch it
sexual
as an
stuff.
adult, you're like,
Yes.
"Oh,
It's hilarious.
it's hilarious."
I also think it's really sweet because she is so innocent and he knows that she's just pure. And so, like, there's a part
Mhm.
of him that wants to protect her. And I kind of
Mhm.
love the way this whole thing unfolds, you know?
Yeah. Right.
And then, so anyway, everybody, what ends up happening is she gets captured by the man in order
Well, the
to,
slow motion hose
yeah.
scene with Eugene Levy and
Oh,
by
yeah,
the
that
way,
was
how
pretty
did they
good.
get invited to the president's
Well,
dinner?
because John Candy's character has been writing articles for Penthouse and has gotten quite a
That's right.
following.
That's
And also he's
right.
got friends in low places and high places. And so he's got like mafia dudes. And so he's just like trying to go to these political fundraisers and blah, blah, blah. And then, yeah, that's why.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, at
So
the
they end up at this,
presidential dinner,
yes, right by the UN.
Eugene Levy
Hmm.
is he's been trying to find Daryl Hannah this whole time. Anyway, he gets a hold of a hose
Yes.
and he sprays her with the hose. Her legs turn back into her fin, and Tom Hanks is like, "What?" And she gets taken off by the man.
Yep.
It's like an ET.
And I wrote down in that moment, I was like, she was exposed, she was violated, she was abused, she was
Absolutely
assaulted, she was
horrible.
accused of being
Mhm.
something freakish, and they took her. They took her
Yeah,
and they
and they
whisked her
took her.
away. They took her away, and
It was actually really dramatic. Like,
it's
her face and
dramatic.
screaming could have been from
Yes.
an actual horror movie.
Yeah, it
Like,
was
it was
awful. It was
really
sad.
heavy.
It's
Yeah,
heavy. It's like
it
an
was.
assault.
It
And
was.
I know, it's sad. It's awful.
Mhm.
And then the next cut to scene is like Tom Hanks is in this gigantic tank. And he's
Right.
like, "I'm not a fish, you
Yeah,
guys."
it's like Elliot and ET. He's being tested too, like, as if
Yes.
he got something wrong with him from being around a mermaid or
Yes.
whatever.
Yes.
Um, but then and, the quote that John Candy sees his brother sees him in this tank, and he's like, you never seen a man who slept with a fish before?" Like, trying to defend his brother. Like, everyone's like the paparazzi's all taking his picture, like, he's like, "What?
Come on.
You've never seen a man that slept with a fish before? Get real.
I
Get
know.
with it."
I know.
But okay, so
Ah.
Eugene Levy's this bad guy,
Yeah.
and then he
Doctor,
realizes they're gonna take Daryl Hannah
mm,
to kill her and
study
dissect her and
her.
study
Yeah.
her, and he becomes a completely different character.
Yeah.
His empathy has shown.
His
He feels
conscience
really
shows up.
bad,
Yep.
and I it's crazy to me because Eugene Levy playing a bad guy, and we as knowing as much as we know about Eugene Levy
Right.
and Schitt's Creek and his whole career,
Yes.
I I'm so glad this happened because I would not be able to buy it if he was a bad guy the whole time and it wasn't like some child movie. Because
Exactly.
it's Eugene Levy. He's not capable of just being this bad character.
I know.
It's just not a thing.
I love that he
And I love
turns.
he becomes the hero,
Yeah,
quite
because he's
frankly.
really this crazed, like, scientist, but
Yeah,
he's a scientist who's getting thwarted at every turn and not being taken seriously because he's
right.
trying to prove that there's a mermaid. And so you start to see, like, as you said, like, his conscience starts getting the better of him
Yeah.
when he realizes they're gonna do bad things to her.
He just
And
totally changes his whole life.
he changes his whole changes his whole tune, and then he helps them get
Get
back
her
to
out.
her to get her out of there. And then we have the final, the
Wait.
final. Oh,
To
sorry.
go through security,
Yeah, to go through
I wrote
security. I
this
was gonna
down.
ask you, do you speak Swedish?
Yes, and to get through security, they didn't have to have badges. This is high
Right.
government.
Yeah.
Uh, John Candy said, "In Swedish, I've got a 12-inch penis." In
Yes.
Swedish, and they were like, "You can go
Okay.
on in,
All
sir.
right. Well,
You can go
go
in this
on.
government
You just go on
project
back. You
and,
just go
go
right
ahead
on
and
back.
do whatever you need to do,
Yeah.
sir."
Yeah. No.
Um, but yes, so and then you go ahead.
Then we have this final dilemma of now Daryl Hannah's character, who, by the way, is named Madison because they looked up at the street sign and it said
They were
Madison.
on Madison Avenue.
And he's like, "Well, Madison, that's not really a name." And then he's like, "Well, I guess it could be a name." How many children do you think were named Madison
So many.
because of this movie?
There's
How
so many
many?
Madison. Oh, yeah.
How many children were then named Madison
That's so cool. You
after
know what? If I'd been
Splash?
named after Splash,
I know. I wonder if that like
I
began the
wouldn't be.
whole
I'd still be
thing.
bragging about it.
Like, do you think that that began the whole Madison thing? Do you think? I
I
mean,
don't
really?
know. I'm not.
Because there's a lot
I
of
don't.
people in this world named Madison.
I think a lot of people name maybe it was a last name.
Mm. Last
And
name,
you're like,
first name. This is sort
yep,
of like the last name. But I remember watching this, like, going like, Madison, what a weird name. And I remember being like, last name, first name, what?
right. But
And now last
it's
name, first
cool.
name
People
is
do it
like
all
a
the time.
whole
It's like,
thing.
yeah, people do it all the time.
Well, they did it a lot for boys, but now they do it for girls too,
Yeah.
right?
Well, they should. But Eugene
So,
Levy gets a huge, like, gets a big
mm-hmm,
thank you from
mm-hmm,
everyone, and she kisses him on the mouth, and he's the ultimate hero.
yes. And
And
then
so,
she says, Madison says to him, like, you told me that you would love me even if you found out what my secret was, like
right, she had, yeah, her big secret.
her big secret. And because at this point, Tom Hanks still doesn't, well, he knew
He's
she's a
still in
mermaid
shock.
now, but he's still in shock. And he's like, well, I guess that was the big secret, And so we were wondering, like, is he going to go with her?
Can he get over it?
Can
Can
he
he
get
deal with
over
it?
it? Can he deal with the fact that she's got a
That she's not
gigantic
human?
fin? She's not
Well,
human.
that she's an actual fish.
Like, what can we, like, where do we go with this? Like, this is the big dilemma. What would
I
you
mean,
do?
we got a moral dilemma, we got
We
a
got it.
physical dilemma,
We
we
got
got
I mean,
emotional
I have
dilemma.
questions too, like physically, how's that going to work
Well, she gets
underwater?
legs. Oh, well. Well, then she almost gets captured again, and the bad guy takes a fin to the crotch, which
And I
I'd
love
never
it
seen
too
before.
because there's this underwater fight scene, which is so good
And
when she jumps in the water and then
yeah,
he jumps in the water, right? Is that when
no,
yeah,
not
they're
yet. No,
both in the
no,
water. Oh no, they're not both in the water at this point?
no, not yet. She's on the dock,
Right.
and the bad guy takes a
Right.
fin to the crotch, and then she hops into the water, and
She
then
her
she's like waiting for Tom Hanks to come,
to decide if he's going to
yay
jump
or
in with
nay,
her. Like, you can
yay or
come with
nay.
me. You can come with me.
And he said, "How would that work?" She's like, it could happen." She's like,
Right.
"It would be fine. We could
Yeah.
make it work."
Yeah.
It just
And
says it was sick on so many levels.
see, the thing is that I'm sitting there watching this like, we need him to jump in. We
We need it
need him to jump in the water, right?
like cannonball. I
Like,
need a running cannonball.
yes. I'm like, he has to jump in. He has to jump in. Like,
Yeah,
there's no other way this can go. Like,
right.
but then again, if we were French, he wouldn't jump in. She would swim off and then he would just like walk off and go like, well, that was a beautiful love story and it's over
Mhm,
now. Like, there'd be like a melancholy ending, right?
right.
That could
But
have gone a certain way, but this is a Ron
this
Howard
is a
film,
Ron
ladies and
Howard
gentlemen.
movie. Literally took the words out of my mouth. This is a Ron Howard movie.
Right.
He's gonna jump in. Is he
Right.
gonna do a running start, back handspring, triple axel aerial into the water? No. But he's gonna do a dangly jump. It's Tom Hanks.
Yeah,
And he does, and then the boy who couldn't swim ends up living in the ocean, and they're swimming off into the ocean,
I know, and it's
and
just
it just works.
it just works, Natalie. It just
Relationship goals. When you feel like you're drowning in any relationship, just know you can breathe underwater.
exactly.
You just have to give each other air,
And just keep swimming.
fill each other's lungs, hold hands, and go for it.
Be
Move on.
each other's oxygen tank. Yeah.
Yes.
Mm. Yeah, so it
Another
is.
deep thought.
Oh, it's so I
God, I'm
just love,
full of
but
them.
you are full of them. But I gotta
Oh,
say, Natalie,
pretty
I
deep.
really, really love this movie.
I love, love, love this movie
Like,
so much.
I think I need to watch this like back to back. I think I might even need to watch it again
It's
right
such a
now.
feel good. It
It
feels
feels
so good. It's
good.
fun. It's
I
it's
know.
relatively light. I know that, like, making some points to I was trying to, like,
Make it deep.
well, I just had some thoughts to I was just trying to pick your
Sure.
brain about some
Yeah,
stuff. But overall, this is a light movie. It's funny,
it
it's
is.
sweet, and it's fantasy, and it's actually lighter than watching E.T.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like the same thing.
Yeah, it's not as intense as E.T.
No, but it's
definitely
technically
similar
but it's
theme.
so similar.
It really is. And I'm not
Except that
mad at it.
Elliot didn't get to go with E.T. on the ship.
Right. Elliot
Tom Hanks got to go with Daryl Hannah into the ocean.
Yep. And then
Elliot got ditched.
And then you wonder, like, what is Tom Hanks gonna do? The thing that I was wondering is, like, what's he gonna do now? Like, he's just gonna
what are
go
his
live.
hobbies gonna be?
What is he gonna like? He's gonna be like, oh yeah, I was just thinking back to when I used to be on land. Like, he's gonna be thinking about
does he
what do
develop
they
a
eat?
fin and his legs come back? Like, what's gonna
what's gonna
part
happen?
duh?
Yeah. Is there a splash
2?
duh?
Is there? I'm gonna look it up right now.
Is there a
Splash 2?
Is there? I don't think so. I hope not. Because what are we gonna
if
like?
it is, I know I'm doing right now. Splash 2.
Yeah, no, I don't think there is.
Yes, there is.
Wait, is it Daryl Hannah?
1998? Of course not.
What?
But it's Amy Yasbeck.
Oh my God! Please tell me the plot. I love
her.
What's the plot? What's the plot? We might have to do this.
Todd Waring plays Alan, and I'm watching this tonight.
Ladies and gentlemen,
actually, I don't know how long it'll last.
This just in. There's a Splash 2.
See, the overview of this is
Rotten Tomatoes. I don't know.
Alan and his mermaid mate Madison swim back to Manhattan to help his brother save their produce business. I don't think I can watch that.
Is John Candy still? He's gone by this point.
No one. No, it was in '88.
That's like a womp womp.
Well, no, it's funny. This is what they did in the '80s.
I might.
And it's called Splash 2, like TOO.
Oh, yeah.
It's like Teen Wolf 2. They always made sequels and they never really panned out. And some of them become cult classics. This did not.
Splash 2 Electric Boogaloo. Right.
Right. I mean, but you know what? It got 44%.
Well,
that's not the worst thing I've ever seen.
It's like my math grade in geometry class. Yeah.
Anyway, we love this movie. This movie has so much heart. It's so fun to watch. We got to take a pit stop.
We do. We got to go. Okay. Natalie.
All right.
Talk to me, Goose.
So I just want to quickly touch base on some fashion stuff.
Okay, great.
Okay, so the Oscars were
Is this one of the things you wanted to...
Well, we're doing a tribute to that woman that plays the secretary, who also was the assistant principal in Greece.
Yes, that's how I knew right. Her. That's her name. Yes, she wears her bra on the outside of her shirt. Everybody is a Stimler on this show.
Like a mermaid vibe, but Daryl Hannah didn't wear shell. She just had boobs out.
Yep,
like tits an authentic mermaid.
Woo! Yep.
So I was going to ask you about the Oscars, and I was going to see who your best dressed picks were.
Okay. Yeah, I'm going to tell you. I'm going to tell you right now.
Okay.
So I thought America Ferrera looked like a gazillion dollar.
She did.
I was
she
like,
sure did.
What on earth? That, she looks so
metal
fantastic.
Dress.
And I thought that Emma Stone looked wonderful in her dress, even though she had a little
malfunction rippage
with her dress.
That was Louis Vuitton, I believe.
Oh, was it? Okay. Mm-hmm. I also thought that as far as I'm trying to look at the pics here. Okay, so I wasn't super into Emily Blunt's dress. I'm not sure about those raised shoulder straps.
Yeah.
But I loved everything else about that dress.
I just love her.
And I just love Emily Blunt so much. I mean, my God. What about you? What were your favorites?
Best dress for me was Robert Downey Jr.
Oh, God, he looked fabulous.
And because we are friends with his stylist, Erica.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And my sister helps Erica.
Mm-hmm.
Well, no, you're not.
I'm listening.
Well, okay.
Keep going.
But my sister, Lauren, helps assist Erica on some stuff.
Yeah.
With Robert Downey Jr.
He looked fabulous.
He looked fabulous. It was YSL. Unbelievable. So and when he won his Oscar, he thanked Erica in his acceptance speech.
I know.
Which was absolutely insane. Nobody does that. It was amazing.
I was going to ask you about that.
Him and his wife.
I was going to ask you about that, if that was her.
Yes.
So awesome that he did that.
My stylist, Erica.
I know.
Hello.
That was pretty amazing.
I was like, whoa, this is so well-deserved. And also she's never without work.
Yeah. That's so amazing.
Sit forever.
So you know who else's dress I absolutely loved, and I don't know if everybody loved it, I loved Anya Taylor-Joy's dress. Did you remember what that one looked like?
Yeah,
it was like Dior Haute Couture.
I
also
loved,
thought
Carey Mulligan's dress was
oh,
that
yeah.
velvet with that
Yes.
I mean, I also just love her, and I love
Now
Charlize Theron.
mm,
She always
mm.
brings it to
You
the
know
table.
who Charlize looked amazing. I'm looking at her
Yeah,
right now. It's a
yeah.
Dior. Um, oh, yeah, Carey Mulligan had that mermaid
Oh,
speaking of
with the
mermaids, it was like a
long
mermaid dress with the
velvet black
long velvet
gloves.
gloves and the white,
Oh,
like, organza
poofy
bottom.
thing at the like, tulle at the bottom.
I don't wanna say anything mean, but, I felt like, Ariana Grande's dress just looked like she got stuck in her pink duvet cover that she was trying to put on her duvet.
Well,
Sorry.
it's like she was trying to do Gentlemen Prefers Blondes
It went
on
over the top.
steroids.
It was just, like, had all this billowing pink stuff, and I was
It
like,
was
"What? It looks like Pepto-Bismol."
it was too much.
But
But I
I don't
have to
wanna be
tell you
mean. I don't wanna be ugly. I don't wanna
we're
be
not,
ugly. I don't wanna be ugly.
we're not.
No. I mean, I am
Side
wearing
note,
my bra on the outside of my shirt, so I don't think
who
I
are we
have
to
room to
talk?
talk.
So, I wanna mention, though, my new fashion obsession, and I've always loved her fashion, but, like,
Yeah.
my new fashion hero right now
Yeah.
is Kristen Stewart she's, like, promoting her new film right now, and she is doing
I
a whole
know.
press tour with no pants on,
I know.
and she's wearing pantyhose with,
I know.
booty shorts or, like,
Like
boy
like
short like, very like or, like, underwear over it
but they were like
and, like,
sweater
tops.
material. They were like
Yeah, it's like
knitted
Chanel.
sweater
It's
yeah.
all Chanel,
But
and
the thing I didn't understand about that
it's
was,
still
like
no pants.
I know, but she was wearing, like, pantyhose under, and you could see,
Yeah.
like,
The
the
separate like,
well, they
the
where they
top part
cut
with what
off from, like,
and
the
I'm living for it. She's
so
my
so
hero.
you like that. Like, that was giving me
On women,
anxiety.
on this no, when men wear shirts and no bottoms, I want to
No, no,
stand
no, I'm
in
talking about the
traffic.
pantyhose part.
No, I loved it.
It
That is
like
so I wish I could do I mean, if that were something that made sense here where I live and I could get dressed up and wear and, like, do that, I love what she's doing. I think it's so cool. She's so cool to
what
me, but,
is
like,
stopping you?
um, well,
Can you imagine real
I
quick?
don't have a
"Hey, Nat,
venue.
we're gonna go out to have
Yeah,
some
Scott and I
margaritas
walk into a
tonight."
party, I'm like, "Hi," and he's like, "Don't mind my wife, she's not wearing pants." And she thinks it's
I think you
cool.
should go for it. I think you
Well,
should just go for it. Just go for it.
I don't think,
What's the worst that
I
could
don't have
happen?
that I don't have that, that cool edge that she has that pulls it off, but she does, and it looks so good. So if you're not sure what I'm talking about, just Google Kristen Stewart
Yeah.
now, and it shows you. And I swear to God, it looks like the most liberating, coolest fashion move I've seen, and I've not seen anyone do this. And I if men wear tops and no bottoms, I want to like die.
I know.
Ugh,
I know.
it's the
It's
worst.
not okay. It's
It's
not
not
okay.
okay.
No.
But this
Yeah.
is so cool.
Okay.
So cool.
I don't know that I agree with you, but I understand why you like it. However, um, I'm not mad at her. And also, one thing I wanted to ask you though is what do you think about all this naked stuff? Like everybody's going pants underwearless and wearing like sheer stuff, like no underwear.
I think it looks
Going
it
like
seems
there's
liberating.
some
I'm so in awe of this confidence. And I'm so
yeah.
in awe of this like I don't give a shit. I'm gonna wear nothing.
Are
And
you in awe of it?
they don't care.
It is pretty amazing.
It's like naked and afraid to me because that would make
Naked
me
and
afraid, but
unafraid.
they're still naked. No,
Yeah.
they're naked and unafraid.
Yeah. That's what I mean.
I'm
They
like a
are.
never
Yeah.
nude. I don't,
Oh, I see what
at
you
the
mean. Yeah.
gym, I don't
I gotcha.
change in front of people.
All right.
But like, I admire their confidence and their
Yeah.
ability to not give a shit.
Yeah.
I think it's
Cheers to
cool.
that. I'll drink to that. Cheers to
Cheers.
that.
I think it's cool.
Cheers. 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 Ching
They
ching.
look cool. Like whatever.
Yeah, sure. Mm.
It's cool. 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 Cool.
Cool, cool, cool,
All
cool,
right.
cool. All right, girlfriend, we have to wrap this up because
Yeah.
this has been a wonderful chat, but we're going long. And
Yeah.
I just want to say
Going too
one
long.
last thing, which is that in true Ron Howard fashion, all of his family members were in the film. Rance Howard was in it, Clint Howard was in it, and Carolyn, is that her name? Carol Howard?
Mm-hmm.
Cheryl Howard.
Mm-hmm.
They were all in this film. Splash. Everybody, if you haven't seen Splash in a long time, I need you to go watch it. Natalie, do you have any final thoughts on Splash?
I feel like
Anything?
I overshared anyway.
Oh no. Are you going to go back tomorrow and be like,
I'm having the anxiety.
oh no.
I'm having foot in the mouth.
Uh-oh. About what?
I don't know. Not foot in the mouth, but I like, it's like I should have, it's just like, know when to fold them.
No, you're good, girlfriend. Listen, I love chatting with you about all of these things. I love talking to you about Splash and Daryl Hannah and all of it.
Thank you.
And to you, I want to say it's been lovely chatting. Everybody, thank you for listening.
Thank you so
Everybody,
much.
please send us a review and follow us on Instagram and YouTube. Watch us on all the places and share with your friends and let us know what you think about Splash. And also let us know if you saw Splash 2 and what kind of a disaster it really was.
And should we watch it?
Should we watch it? And to you, Natalie, just to close out the day, I say, namaste in a tub with Clint Howard forever.
Thank you. Namaste. You never seen a man who slept with a fish before? I had nothing.
R.I.P. John Candy. We love you.
R.I.P. We love you. And I love you.
Love you too. I love it when you do this with your
with all my papers.
With all your papers,
my
like
documents,
your documents. Like, I love it. Like, news show is over. All right, everybody, the news show is over. Podcast ending. Good night, everybody.
Thank you, and good night.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. Now, isn't that better? Thanks for listening. Feel free to leave us a review and be sure to subscribe wherever you get your shows. Put Your Books Down is produced by ClantonCreative.com.